Alright, this is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor of VS Busters, and this is another episode of Review. Review is a video essay where I basically talk about games that I've played, reviewed, or came out a while ago, and I'm going back and basically determining, do I still want to play this? Does this game still hold up? Is it as good as I remember, or as bad as I remember? In this episode of Review, I am doing GTA San Andreas, mostly because I have been playing this and Fallout New Vegas. And Fallout New Vegas, there's kind of like, it takes a while to get started, and I'm still trying to get the footage together to really show it. GTA is much easier to stream, so that's what we're doing. So this is a re-review, so let's get into it. If you don't know my reviews, I always do the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I'll go over the good first, after the cut. So, let's get to the good first. GTA San Andreas has a lot of character. Alright? Now, this is the PC version of GTA. I'm playing it with a decent amount of mods. Cheats and stuff using CLEO, which basically lets you fiddle with the code. I've basically, because the PC, believe it or not, the base PC version of GTA San Andreas doesn't look as good as the PS2 version, or the 360, or the 360, not 360, the base model version on the original Xbox. So playing it on your PC with certain mods installed makes it better. Plus you can add new cars, new missions, all that type of stuff. So so I'm playing this on the PC. As far as the PC port goes, once you kind of fiddle with some of the specifications and download a few mods, because this game was meant to run on 32-bit systems on old shit, so this game would have run really good on Windows XP. Unfortunately, I'm running Windows 10 on my gaming PC, so this game, like, my PC is too powerful to run this very well. So I had to download some mods in order to get it to run well. But with that being said, that aside, overall, this game is, everything that you like about GTA, what made this game great back in, when it came out, still exists here. Interesting characters, relatively fun driving, the RPG aspects are still there, and Carl Johnson, who is a great protagonist. Carl Johnson is a flawed character, but they basically make Carl Johnson into a likable character, or at least a sympathetic character, because shit happens to Carl, and you're like, okay, you're a criminal, but I can understand why you would be mad. I can understand why you're doing what you're doing. So the story of Carl Johnson in this game is, Carl used to be a member of the gang with his older brother Sweet of the Grove Street gang. And well, his younger brother got gunned down in a drive-by. And when that happened, Carl said, "Fuck it, I'm out of the game," and he went to Liberty City for multiple years. And that's basically the backstory behind Carl initially. And then eventually another drive-by happens, and they're trying to kill his brother, Sweet. And unfortunately, they're not able to get Sweet, and they kill his mother, Beverly Johnson. So Carl comes home for the funeral and to find out who killed his mother and to get revenge. So right there, I mean, it's a little simplistic, but Carl, I mean, yeah, Carl is kind of not a very great character, but you can pretty much understand what he's going through. You know, he's not a good person, but if someone murdered your mother, you wouldn't exactly be all like, well, we have to let the police handle this, especially if it's a gang member. Like, no gang member is going to, hey, someone tried to kill me, they killed my mother, and I'm just going to let them go. So that's a great impetus for your ass. Now, when he comes home, he is immediately, as soon as he gets off the airplane and he's in a taxi, he's immediately caught by, picked up by the crash unit, headed by Officer Tenpenny. And, you know, this game, the story, it takes a lot of cues from the LA riots of the early 90s that happened after the Rodney King acquittal, which really, like, the Rodney King acquittal was a little bit of history, was the match that lit the fire, but the fuel was there because, like, a few months earlier, like a brief amount of time earlier, what happened is that this black lady went to a Korean grocer, and the Korean lady shot this black lady in the head. And the jury said, this woman killed this woman, she needs time, and the judge threw the jury's sentencing recommendations out the way and said time served and let that lady get away with murdering someone. So the Rodney King riots was only like the match. Like, you had this corrupt police force doing a lot of shady shit. You had people getting away with murdering black people and no one doing anything. And this game, like, a lot of those sentiments are kind of parodied. And Officer Tenpenny is played by Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson doing a really he's not being over the top, motherfucker, what? Sam Jackson. He's being a very kind of I don't want to say underserved, but not over the top as Sam Jackson normally is. But still a very menacing villain. So, you know, characters, good. The characters in this game are amazing. All the characters are very memorable. Like, if you put a gun to my head and said, well, name some of the characters in GTA 4, couldn't really tell you. GTA 5, aside from the three main characters, like, and a few of the side characters, couldn't really tell you. But GTA, San Andreas, and Vice City, great characters. Memorable characters. The gameplay, for the time, the gameplay was pretty good. Now that open world sandbox style games have gotten better, I would say that like, the gameplay hasn't aged as well as I remember, but the underlying bones of the gameplay, like getting in your car, turning on the radio, driving someplace and listening to the awesome music, that holds up. So you've got great characters, the atmosphere of the game, the music in the game, all of that is excellent. The gameplay, the combat, not that good, but GTA has never had great combat. You know, it's like, oh, well, I hope this works. I hope I can hit. Like, this game was good enough that you could actually just like lock onto an enemy and kill them. And even though this gunplay in this game isn't great, it's still better than the previous game, which was Vice City. So, I mean, like, it's a steady improvement. So with that being said, let's get to the bad after the cut. So, the bad. Now, if you had asked me years ago when I was playing GTA San Andreas on my PS3, when you could download it on your PS3, because I've had this game on PC for a while, but I used to always play it on PS3. Don't ask me why. It's only recently with some of the mods coming in that I'm like, okay, I'm going to play this on PC. So, essentially speaking, here's what I can tell you about the bad. The driving in this game isn't great. Now, if you look at it in terms of modern, open world sandbox style games, I would say that the driving in GTA is, if you compare it to other open world games in San Andreas, isn't great. I would put it up there with Watch Dogs. And I know what some people are going to say. What do you mean? Watch Dogs driving in both Watch Dogs 1 and 2. I haven't played Legion. I have no desire to. Fucking terrible. The cars, it's bad. It's not as bad as GTA 4's driving. I would say the best open world game that had like sandbox style game that had good driving, but also like the driving was also fun, is maybe Saints Row 3. Saints Row 3 had really good driving. Like getting in and out of cars was never easy. It was never easier in an open world sandbox game. I haven't played an open world sandbox game that made getting into cars as easy as GTA, or as Saints Row, the third. And different cars, like the cars felt different. No two cars felt the same. Like if you were in if you were in like a sports car, like one of the higher end sports cars in the game, that felt different from a like a basic four-door sedan, or a smart car, or a Jeep, or a truck. This game, like the cars have their own underlying stats, but like you can't really customize them like in other later games. Like I said, Saints Row has kind of spoiled the franchise because the open world sandbox, because you could tune the shit out of vehicles in Saints Row. In this game, not really. I think you can do a little bit of customization, but don't hold me to that. So that may be a mod. But there's not a lot you can really do in this game in terms of your vehicles. You can't really customize your guns. You can buy them, you can't customize them. They kind of had a little bit of gun customization in GTA 5. I don't think they had it in GTA 4 either. So there's things that other games have added that this game does not have, just because, other games have moved the genre forward. Like I said earlier, the gunplay has aged, but like it wasn't great at the time. Now, to be fair, no GTA game has had great combat. Like, if you're playing a GTA game, I like running around shooting people. You're not going to get it. GTA 5 kind of gets around that by letting you essentially use what's it called? You could use a mouse and keyboard in order to attack certain enemies. But I mean, to be fair, mouse and keyboard is kind of cheap, you know, for a game like for you shooting enemies for a game like this, and that's a very small audience, because most people who play games, open world sandbox games, are playing them on console. So you're not going to have unless you're playing like an Xbox with a mouse and keyboard, which I guess you can do that. You're not going to have the option of, oh man, I want to be more accurate with my combat. Let me plug in my mouse and keyboard. Like, most people aren't going to do that. So that's kind of a bad aspect of the game, is the combat is a little on the bland side. But you know, you can get beyond that. So with that being said, let's move on to those are the only two bad things I can say about the game. The story is relatively straightforward. Some of the missions are kind of hard, like that Zero mission where you have to shoot down the airplanes and shit. That was kind of a motherfucker, but if you can get past that, it's not that bad. So with that being said, let's get to the bad after the cut. So here's the ugly. The ugly portion is where I just essentially go over little tidbits. The music in this game is great. I would put the soundtrack of this game as being, if not quite on the level of Vice City, it's a little bit under Vice City, but if Vice City gets like a 97, 95, this game gets like a 92. The music in this game is great. The different stations, it's a real slice of the early 90s. If you like gangster rap, like old school gangster rap, this is for you. The country music station is great. The R&B station is great, with New Jack Swing, shit like that, SWV. The funk station is great, with Bounce. I mean, like, every station has so much character, and the little commercials while you're driving, listening to the radio. This game's music is fucking awesome. And I really would, like, this music, this and Vice City's music is so good that I have the soundtracks for both of those games, because it's all so fucking good. Like, it's all just, the music is so good in these two games. And it just depends on what I want to listen to. Now, GTA 4, I thought the music was kind of shit in that game. And GTA 5, the music was better than 4, but not very memorable. And I put like maybe 60, 70 hours into the single player of that game. The online, I put like 40, grinding my character when it first started up to the max at the time, and then I just stopped playing. I'm like, I don't want to play GTA with other people. Like, if I'm going around beating up hookers, or in the case of GTA San Andreas, becoming a pimp and doing the hooker mission, so when I sleep with hookers, they give me money. Like, you know, I'm not doing this because I want to fucking, you know, I don't want to play GTA with other people. But that's just my own personal opinion. So, what other ugly things? This is the largest GTA game in existence. It's bigger than GTA 4 and GTA 5 in terms of land mass and cities and shit like that. Which is just embarrassing for Rockstar, considering that they took such a step backwards in GTA 4 and GTA 5 in terms of, like, places to go and shit and things to do. But whatever. Anyway, that's the end of the ugly portion. We'll get to my overall thoughts. Does this game hold up after the cut? So here we go with the big question. Does GTA San Andreas hold up? You goddamn right it holds up. Why even ask? Yes, GTA San Andreas holds up. Yes, it is that good. It's better than it has any business being. Much better. Like, this game should be, this game is arguably the most ambitious Rockstar GTA game Rockstar ever made. Now, when I say ambitious, I mean, like, if you look at the resources that they had and what they were able to do. Like, GTA 5 doesn't have nearly the amount of content that this game does. And I know what some people say, what do you mean? Okay. For example, you can go to a barber shop in this game and you can get tons of hairdos. GTA 5, in the single player, you can only minorly change how your characters look when they are, like, very minor change how your characters look at barbershops. The amount of clothing in this game is insane. It's much lower in GTA 5 in the single player. And I'm only comparing the single player because I know people will say, well, in the online, look, okay, the reason they added that shit in the online portion in GTA Online, GTA 5, is so that they could charge you for shit that should have been in the single player game, so that they could make more money off of their player base. That's what that shit was about. Okay? So, single player to single player, this game has the biggest, most ambitious single player in the Grand Theft Auto series. It's huge for the 3D game. Like, the amount of shit you can do in this game, the amount of places you can go, things you can do. It's insane. It's friggin' insane. The only thing I'm going to say is this. The only downside of GTA San Andreas is, playing it now, like, compared to other open world sandbox style games, you can see that it's kind of archaic in terms of, the character models and how you have to go through this animation in order to get into and out of a car, and that's not fast. The gunplay is a little, well, it's very stiff. I'm not even gonna say a little stiff. It's really fucking stiff. But if you can get past that, there is an awesome game underneath the surface of the wrinkles in this game. And like I said, this is the most ambitious GTA game in the franchise. No other GTA has been as ambitious as this game, which is kind of sad that Rockstar just has not really wanted to try and stretch themselves. That's kind of sad. But anyway, GTA San Andreas holds up. It's definitely as good as I remember. I can appreciate the the huge amount of content, the collectibles, the music, the characters, the story. There's so many positives that the negatives are lessened. They're not as bad. Like, I can deal with the archaic combat. I can deal with the archaic combat. I can deal with the stiff like the kind of archaic, oh man, it takes so long. Oh man, I gotta press this thing in order to get in the car so I can drive. I can deal with that. Like, that stuff isn't a make or break thing for me. So anyway, yes, this game holds up. It's still worth it. It's still damn good. And if you get a chance, you should get it. I mean, if you get it on sale, I mean, I have this game on Steam. I bought it a long time ago. Because I think it was on sale for like $7, no, like $3.99 on a Rockstar sale, and I got it because I was like, it's GTA San Andreas. It's one of the best games in the series, and I also like the idea of being able to play like modding the game and stuff like that, total world conversion, stuff like that. And here you go, you can do shit like that in this game. So GTA San Andreas, fucking awesome. It holds up. It is still that good. Maybe the best in the series. I'm still working on the next review game. We'll get to that, so I'll give you upcoming events after the cut. So, upcoming events. Every Wednesday and Saturday, 7:30 p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a podcast, the BS Busters podcast. Wednesdays, Saturdays, it's great. If you would like to, if you have any questions for the BS Busters podcast, you can leave them in the comment section. I will copy them and put them down in the chat. We also have a Discord, which is also in the description. So if you would like to be a member, to be in on our Discord, you can. Link there. So that's it. The next review episode will be coming out. Will be Fallout New Vegas, and that'll be next Friday. This Friday, today, it's GTA San Andreas. Next Friday, Fallout New Vegas. Peace.